Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wake Up and Dream. This is Kelly, along with Lisa and Sarah, and we are so excited to be here. We were just kind of laughing and giggling before we started recording because this might be the earliest time that we have woken up to be together to record a new episode for you amazing listeners, and we're excited to jump in to a very deep quote that we were kind of thinking, what do we talk about? What's important here? And all of us kind of have just a fun little twist to how we received the quotes we want to share with you and start a great conversation. So we will just dive right in. The quote that we found that was kind of fun was, when a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. And this, to me, is huge on personal growth. And what hit me when I read this one was, during my depression of infertility, there's a lot of comparison that starts to happen on social media or in the pickup line or the kiddos' sports activities. Like, what is she wearing? And oh, she's, all dolled up and it's a 9 a.m. game. Or you see posts on social media where they just are all on vacation every other week and you're jealous, and political views that are being put on social media, and you start to, I don't know, A, compare, but B, also start to have that negative feeling towards those people. And sometimes you just need a break from that type of environment. So I know that when I was not in a good place, the best thing I could do for myself was remove myself for a little bit. I got off Facebook, I got off Instagram, because I needed to think about, like this quote says, the environment that I was putting myself in, and it wasn't healthy. I needed to think about how I was feeling and what I was doing and what I was feeding my mind and my heart and my soul with, and it wasn't positive. So it's so important to be aware of how you're feeling when you're viewing something, right, Lisa?
Yes, yes, yes. Your flower was wilting.
It was wilting. It was dying. I was trying to water it. I was trying to give it sunshine, but it wasn't
Right?
working. Mhm.
Right. And so many times we think, well, what's wrong with us? Like, what do I have to do? Or there must be something wrong with us. And I think when you change the environment, you change the people and the influences. I know Julie Ciardi, I remember way back 2 years ago when I started working with her as my coach, she talked about the influences that come into our minds: social media, the news, our spouse, our, friend group, on and on and on. And we have some control over that. Maybe not, who we live with, our family, but we do have control over the influences we allow into our lives, our thoughts, because they create the feelings that we do have, that wilty flower feeling that you're just like feeling like, oh no. Yeah. So when I read this, I immediately, what jumped out at me was, um, to not fix the flower, because I think, especially as women, we're ultra critical of ourselves. We we beat ourselves up in our mind thinking, well, if I only did this, or maybe I need to try harder in this relationship, or what have you. And oftentimes, as we're growing, and Julie Sardi has said this, and Bob Proctor has said this, your people groups change. Your friend groups may even change because you've outgrown them. The things that are important to you are not important to them. If you're been listening to us for any amount of time, we're about dreaming. We're about getting in alignment with your passions, your calling. What is your purpose on this planet? And when you start surrounding yourself and asking those questions, the people that are just satisfied existing, you don't have a lot in common with them anymore. but we may struggle thinking we have to fit in or fix ourselves, or that uncomfortableness of being in those relationships. But really, we just need to change our environment to fully open up and discover all of the beauty in our bloom.
And to be around those positive people too, because I just recently was having a difficult time emotionally and spiritually. And I am so, so grateful for the community of you guys. You guys have walked me through so much, Lisa and Sarah. So I'm so grateful for you guys. And it really is to be able to have those friendships and colleagues that you really can connect with, who are also growing along the same path you are. There was a quote once: if you walk into a room and you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room, right? And so like I really take that to heart too sometimes, because it's not that you want to like just clean house and get rid of all your friends, because every friend, or a parent or a sibling or a spouse, they're all unique, and in your life for a specific reason. But when you're really in that growth stage and you want more and you're trying to find more, it is so important to be in that environment that inspires you. And when you're having a hard time, you want somebody that's going to have that tough love, or someone that knows the next step that you need to take. And even like arguing with a spouse, if you're having a hard time, you don't want to be with the friends that are just going to bash their husbands as well, right? You need to be in an environment that can feed you and say, this is what you need to do next. This is what's helpful. This is what I've tried and it's worked, and that kind of thing. And it is the environment and being aware of how you feel. How are those people making you feel when you're with them? I think is so key, so key.
I love the perspective that you ladies brought to this, because I mean, I have a couple angles. I feel like this quote just leaves so much open to interpretation, which is why I love having these conversations with you, because I feel like we bring such unique perspectives to each episode just in our feelings on these quotes. And when I first read this, I actually was thinking of it from a child's perspective and from a parenting perspective at first. It's kind of shifted with just what you guys have been saying, but just to go down that path first. So when a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. So I'm thinking of kids and the pressure that we put on them, and how we are like, you should do this, or you should behave like this, or we have different expectations that are often not realistic that we're putting on our 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, because we're assuming that they should act a certain way. And it's really not about trying to fix them, fix their behavior. Like I often say, like, if my kids are kind of getting antsy or this and that, it's not like we don't need to like tell them to sit and be quiet. We need to give them something else to kind of not distract them, but to engage them. To like, like give them, let's go play a game. Let's go outside, change the environment that they're in, and let them like, and it works so well if instead of just reacting to whatever they're doing that you don't necessarily like, if you like think a second, like, what are they doing? They're clearly bored. Let's try to like take them and put them somewhere else where they're going to be engaged. And it's not even like, now I have to go outside. Like I'm trying to get things done around the house and now I need to entertain my kids. It's not even about that at all. It's really just helping guide them to their next activity. Let them kind of play while you're doing your things, So when I first read that, that's kind of the angle I was going at with this quote. And then as you guys were talking, I'm like, again, as a mom, I feel like I'm always looking outward, which is why I was initially thinking parenting for this. But thinking about my growth and my environment over the last year and what I was able to do, it's like everything you've said is spot on. And like, even with when it comes down to like me recently changing jobs, like that environment was not serving me, and it was, holding me back and not allowing me to grow. And I mean, it was not an easy shift, but now I'm learning so much. I'm growing so much in this new role. And it's all just that shift in my environment and my courage to make that shift, given the support from our coaching community and from you guys and all of that. So, I mean, this quote is just amazing.
It is amazing. And you're blooming like the changes that Kelly and I firsthand have seen in you, and the growth and the stepping into, your greatness. I always say there's greatness. There's a
Oh,
quote that
Lisa.
says, your greatness within. Like, we all have greatness within us. That's why we're created in God's image. We have greatness in us. And your flower is just so beautifully in bloom because you changed your environment, and you took a risk, because like, comfort zone is a real magnet, right? We feel very pulled to stay where we are. Don't ruffle the feathers. Don't do anything crazy, for crying out loud. You're making an income. You're doing the thing. You haven't interviewed. You hadn't interviewed in how many years?
12.
12. Like, that would scare people to their comfort zone, just that alone.
Yep.
And you made the environment change. You took the risk, and you wanted to grow. You did it because you knew that this environment over here wasn't fulfilling your blooming,
And I feel
seriously.
like knowing this and living through this, like recently, makes me so much more aware of others that their flowers are not, thriving. And I just want to be like, you gotta make a change, but it's on them. And you need to be ready to make that change. You need to be ready to embrace how difficult those types of changes are, and just start looking at your environment and things around you that are feeding your flower. And how is that, how is it helping? Is it helping or hurting? But I feel like just going through this very difficult exercise myself is definitely helping with my awareness of others. And when people are like complaining about their circumstances and things like that, it's like there's ways that you can approach this to help. Not something that I can help you with, but ways that they can help themselves. And it's I feel like everybody needs to just kind of sit with this quote and look inward.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's great about our podcast, is that we're encouraging women to do, Sara, just that, to like sit down. We talk about journaling all the time, right? And just taking that time for yourself. And what do you want your flower to look like? For one, like, are you a rose? Are you a sunflower? Are you a daisy? And what are some of the things that you've always wanted to do? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up every morning as a parent? Like you were saying, Sara, like recognizing your children's needs, us as professional women, like what, as a wife, as all the things, what's really important? Because I feel like a lot of our listeners are where we were, of just day after day, it's the same, it's the same, it's the same. We're running our businesses the same. We're showing up in our corporate jobs the same. We're being the same mom. But man, it doesn't light us up. It doesn't help us to wake up and dream what we really want to do. And we have plenty of time. You guys, I'm 42, and I feel sometimes I have that barrier of like, oh, I mean, I wish I would have done this when I was 25, but no, I'm here right now at 42 for a reason, to now be where I am, to have gone through everything that I have, everything you guys have, to be able to share with our audience, with others, moms in the, sporting events, and anybody that we meet along the way, to share our story, that it's possible to wake up and dream and make it happen.
So Kelly, I was, just because you just brought up your age, my birthday's Wednesday, so I'll be 38 on Wednesday.
Yay!
Yeah. So by the time this airs, it will have passed. But yeah, so I'm turning 38 this week. And I was talking to a friend over the weekend, and I was just, they were talking about some things that came up that they were struggling with, and this and that. And I was like, well, listen, my birthday's this week. I'm turning 38 and I am just getting started. I was like, I have not peaked, and everything is going to start rolling. And I was like, and it'll roll for you too. And it's really,
I love that.
Like, it's
just
really
getting
just like
started. Oh, gives me chills.
Like people
are
like, oh man, I'm approaching 40. And then there's that negative undertone. And it's like, hell no, like I'm approaching 38 in 2 days, and I am feeling great. And it's all in your mindset. Like, why is approaching 40 bad? That's actually awesome, you know?
For sure. And as a beautiful, amazing 52-year-old, I'm just getting started.
That's
And
right, girl. Bring
you
the
know,
heat.
and I think that's the beauty of it, is we are always growing if we put ourselves in the environment that fosters that growth. And that includes the external environment, but also the internal environment, like what you're feeding yourself, meaning not food. Well, it could be food, but like what you're feeding your mind, right? Are you reading books that are challenging you to think differently, to expand your view of how powerful our mind is? I mean, I'm still working through The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Whew, that has challenged my view on a lot of things, but it has just brought life to me. Like, it has been nutrients to my soul. And yeah, I heard one time that, like, your 50s are really the decade of like real reflection, because you're probably an empty nester or almost an empty nester, and you start really, like, really looking in, going, what do I want to be when I grow up? Or is this the life that I want to have for the next 40, 50 years, Lord willing? And I want to go in a little different angle, because I think there's different segments. One gal gave me a really, like, I don't know, it breathed freedom into my soul when I was in the guts. I mean, the trenches of child rearing. And I really wanted to have something outside of that. And I was a music teacher before I became a stay-at-home mom, and I was like, how can I want to do both, and I want to be all that I want to be here at home, but I still don't want to necessarily give up this profession that I've worked and had my master's degree and all of the money I poured into it, and I enjoy it, I really do. And she said, there are chapters, and we as women think we have to do everything all at the same time. We have to just shove it all in the same chapter. And when she said that, that like really freed me up to be present with my kids and not regret giving up the job I gave up, or, thinking too much about the future. But then on the same caveat, I want to go to when I really felt like, for me as a stay-at-home mom, I was like dying on the vine. Like, let's just call it what it is, because like you're pouring out all of this goodness, but you don't feel like you're getting fed. You're just giving, right? And so it was in the midst of that chapter when I took that little risk to change my environment and join a direct sales company. It was very part-time. It was just a little decision. It was still a scary decision, because I was like, I've never done this, and I don't want to be that pushy sales lady that they always talk about. But it was a change of environment for me.
Yes, I second that, Lisa. That was huge for me too, to step into the network marketing arena with that, because it just gives you, it doesn't even matter if you sell one thing. Like, that isn't even why I did it. I love the environment, the strong women, the other stay-at-home moms, the moms that are just inspiring others on their team too. And yeah, I was for sure changed my life. It came at the like perfect time for me to it just got me out of my comfort zone just a little, so I could have a taste of that other Kelly that I knew that was still inside of me, but didn't know how to get it out or get it back from the stay-at-home mom sort of, I don't know, stigma environment of just doing snack
For
time
sure.
and nap time and all, pickups and all the things. So yeah, that was huge for me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I give all stay-at-home moms so much credit, no matter the length of time. When I first had the twins, I remember like I had a lot of like complications and bills that came through and all the things. So following the pregnancy, I was like I would stay on the phone with like the insurance people like for a really long time just because I needed like human interaction. I would just be like, so how was your day? Like, oh yeah, it's kind of rainy here in New York, like complete small talk with these strangers because I was like stir crazy and I was only home for 4 months.
Oh, that's so good,
any longer
Sarah.
period of time, I mean, I give you guys credit, but I could see that just desire. And like we always talk about, you want to find your purpose and your desire, and that making those types of connections is so huge. And I feel like, Lisa, I know we've been doing a lot of this work in the last couple of years with Julie Ciardi's program, but that shows such, and Kelly too, the fact that you guys came to that realization and took that step shows so much within just you and, just how you guys were able to adjust, recognize that your environment was kind of holding you back, and taking that change and making a change to your environment shows so much growth within both of you through that period of time, so I just think that's incredible.
And I think when I took that step too, I also told myself nothing's permanent, right? So like, even if I joined this company and I started a business, like, it's okay if I fail in 6 months, or if I don't like it in 3 months, or after a year, I want to try something
Completely.
else. Like, that was something else I gave
Nothing
my
to
heart
lose.
and my mind to just be at ease with, that nothing's permanent. I'm not signing my life away to anything, even, joining a coaching group or hiring that business coach, or join that Pilates class or whatever. Like, just go try a new environment to stimulate your mind and your heart and your soul, meet new people, and you just never know who will touch your life and change your life forever, because it's so worth it. So worth it for
And
you.
even just like you said, reaching out to someone, reach out to us. Tell us what you think is holding you back potentially, and we can talk through it. I mean, I feel like we've been doing this work for a while, and like we mentioned during this episode, like the awareness that we have for others as well is there. So if you guys want to talk through certain things, hit us up on Instagram, message us. We would love to hear from you. We love connecting with our listeners. We hope that this episode inspired you, and we hope that you wake up and dream.